Amia Brave, I got you here,
Hi,
singer songwriter. How are you, my darling?
I'm doing really, really good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right, man. Not too bad. I've had a few a few transformations in the past couple of weeks. Literally,
Yes.
I dyed my hair for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
I'm sick.
And
What was it black before?
it was black before
Black, yeah.
with a lot of grey hairs like started to peek out, and I'm thinking, nah, this ain't right. But I didn't do it because of the grey hairs, because I'm cool with the grey hairs. It was more so like because of what's going on in the world right now, and I wanted to take like a little tiny risk and do something a bit different, because I figured if the world's gonna go tits up, try something different, right?
Go blonde.
Yeah, well, they keep saying blondes have a lot of fun, so far I'm having a lot of fun with this blonde hair, so I'm not too bad. So I mean, to introduce you, you're a singer songwriter.
Mhm.
I mean, before we go into like all the things about you as an artist, I mean, how has this year been for you? I mean, I speak to every artist about this. I mean, we're closing in December now. We've had lockdown one, we've had our freedom, and now we're in lockdown two, the sequel. Who knows if there's going to be more sequels to this? But I mean, how have you been able to keep mentally stable throughout this year?
I've literally I enjoy staying at home, so that's a plus for me. So lockdown's been kind of like I've been able to work from home, which is amazing. Because I feel like for me, traveling is quite strenuous. So
Mm.
like going to and from like to work, it just used to just drain me. So for me, I kind of enjoy it. I think the only aspect I kind of miss is being able to like really spend time with my friends, my family. Of course, go to concerts, go to shows.
Mm.
So that aspect. But for me, I just work out, I eat, I cook, I watch films, and I don't even watch films like that either. So I've been taking in more TV. Like, I finally finished watching Stranger Things. Like I'd never watched it before,
Do you know what
but
it
I
is?
was like,
I've
I've got
never
the
watched
time now.
Stranger Things, but like I'm watching a lot more
It's
like
good.
comedy series than I've ever done in my entire life. Really,
Oh, make sure you watch Arrested Development if you haven't seen that before. Then have you seen
Arrested.
that?
Nah. Do you know what? All right, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like when it comes to TV, like I don't really watch that much TV unless it's like. I mean,
That's like me.
yeah, I used to watch like the news more, but obviously now with all this bollocks going on with what's going on in the world, refuse to watch the news now. So
Mm.
that now I'm trying to go to my happy place when it comes to like watching films and stuff. I'm watching a lot more comedies because obviously with laughter and bringing things out, and
Mm.
it keeps me going as far as my mental intact. So
Like I like that type of humor. Like I like Friends and stuff like that. I like
okay,
New
yeah.
Girl.
Now we're talking. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that
Friends I
type
used to
of
watch as a more as a teenager. Like more my sort of
same.
thing is like Malcolm and Eddie, My Wife and Kids,
Oh yeah, of course.
things like that, One on One, like all those sort of comedies that I was
One on
watching.
one's not back there. We can't get that on our Netflix here though.
Do you know what's mad? It's like they announced it a few months ago as to say like, oh, it's gonna come within, I think it was like October November times, and I've still not seen it. I
Mm.
feel like, why Netflix? Why are you playing me? Why are
Yeah,
you
and
playing
you
me?
know what? I literally just started watching Girlfriends because when I was younger, like I used to
Oh
just like watch
yeah.
it over my sister's shoulder, but I never really like watched it by myself. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Like, it's just crazy how like TV and film has like evolved over the years.
It
Like,
definitely
I
has,
can
man.
imagine like now it's that's such a big impact. Like these black women on screen, like
Mm,
just doing their thing, and it's
mm.
like, wow.
What's your favorite film of all time then?
Oh my gosh, no. I hate those questions. I can't
Okay,
tell you.
maybe pick three of them, like the best three.
All right, so I'll just do. Okay, I love yeah. First of all, I love black films. Like all my friends, like they're like this girl. I can just watch anything black.
Yeah,
That could be
same.
from Last Black Man of San Francisco, so something more like that you see at a film festival, to I mean like Minister Society. Like I love
Oh
that,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
um, I'm a big fan of like mafia type films. I just love it. I
Okay.
don't even like crime films, but I love mafia films. Anything with mafia, I'll watch it. Like Casino and Goodfellas and The Bronx Tale, all of that stuff.
Wow. So
Soprano,
a few
yeah.
sort of gangster films kind of like
I
sprinkled in
love
there as
them. I
well.
really, really love them. I just don't know why I like them so much, but I like it
You
a
just
lot.
made me
Yeah.
think of A Thin Line Between Love and Hate with Martin Lawrence. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Oh man, I can always go back to that because then puts me in the mind of thinking like, don't ever go out with the psycho bitch and then actually go for the one that you truly wanted and you just let her go. No one's there. Let's take it back from the beginning then. So you being a
Mhm.
singer songwriter, when did you get to the realization that music was for you? Like, was it at a young age or was it later on? Like, talk to us about that journey.
Mm. It was definitely young for sure. Like I was singing at 5 and stuff, and like my siblings would like make me sing songs and like record me on like a tape recorder. But it was literally when I was 9 and had my first like official singing lesson, and I was the only person that was able to sing the note A. Um,
Oh wow.
so literally like we literally went through like the line. He's like, everyone sing this note, and I was like the only one that was able to do it. And he's like, perfect pitch. And like from then I was like, oh, so I can sing. I can actually sing. So from 9, like I was always singing around the house. I was always writing songs. I was always making noise in the shower, in the kitchen, everywhere. So I've been singing for a long time. Yeah, really
Did
long
you
time.
did you grow up in a musical family then? Because it sounds like having sing in the house like constantly. Were there points where the parents were telling you shut up, or was it like ever like they were, what I mean, going with the flow of what you
It's
were
so
doing?
weird. Like I don't think when some people are like, oh, I grew up in a house and my dad was doing this, playing the keys, and nah, that wasn't my house. But my parents, one thing I do actually, looking back, they never told me to be quiet. Like when I actually think it, they
Really?
never told. And I'm talking about, I sing like I never, when from a young age, I knew like I always had a unique voice. Like my
Mm,
voice was always really, really husky and loud, like loud,
mm,
loud. Like when I was younger, it was so loud. So I was singing in the kitchen, and people like the neighbors would like walk past on the landing, so they all
mm.
knew I was always singing all the time. And my mom and dad never ever told me to be quiet. They just let me
Wow,
sing.
wow.
They just
I
let me
mean
sing. My dad
that's
would sometimes be like, he used to diss me and be like, "Oh, you sound like," he used to say that, but nah, they never told me to be quiet ever,
wow.
never.
Okay, I mean, because
So shout out to them.
some artists I've spoken with, like, there's been like a mixture of 50-50 where, some parents will be like, oh, I'm not really on that. Like, what's going on? This is like a pipe dream. Why are you doing all this? And then there's some parents that are, supportive of it, come from a musical family. So it's unique in the situation where your parents have, well, it sounds like they weren't really of a musical, like, sort of essence of a family, but they weren't ones to stop you from singing
Yeah,
because they probably just clocked that you enjoy doing that. So I guess like the parents gave you
yeah.
the full support there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think my parents aren't dream killers, if you know what I mean. Like they're more like just whatever you're gonna do, you need to just give 110% into it and be successful. So like that typical Nigerian mentality, like whatever you're gonna do, you need to be number one at it and you need to be the best at it.
Mm.
But then also when I was younger, my sister, she convinced them to take me to drama school and musical theatre and stuff. So I was doing like breakdancing, ballet, like I was doing all those things. My mom would pick me up from school, take me there after school. So like when I look back at it and I actually think about it, to where I am now,
Mm.
your foundation is super important, and my family are very, very supportive. So
Mm.
thank God for them,
I
man.
like that. I like that. And you just mentioned that you come from what? Your parents come fully from
I'm
Nigeria?
yeah, I'm Nigerian, yeah.
Okay. And were you born in Nigeria or were you born here?
I was born here, born and raised here, lived
Oh,
here my
okay.
whole life. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a good thing. Like I said, like the family supports you, and they because some artists I've spoken with, there's always like some sort of ultimatum if it comes to like
Mm.
music and trying to pursue it. But it's I guess the family is
I
just
think the
like,
only time, like, I think for me, like, so I went to the drama school, used to perform all the time, used to act. And then I did performing arts. And then I did, after performing arts, like, I did drama and film at uni. But then, of course, it gets to that stage where your parents are like, okay, what do you want to do? Because I was just like, oh, I don't want to work a full time job or I'm never going to sing again. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to be a freelancer. Da, da, da. And I think there was like the pressure from my mom more so like, you need to get a proper job. You need to do something. You need to like she was just worried, like,
mm,
how were you gonna be able to sustain yourself? But then now, like, I mean, she was in the Peng Black Girls music video. She was there and on set, she was just like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud. So I think, yeah, I think with parents, I think a lot of times it's just more like fear and no they've never seen anyone do it and be able to be successful at it. So
mm.
it's new to them. So I understand the apprehension.
Funny enough, you were talking about like how your voice is quite distinctive and quite husky. Like when I was hearing your music, especially like on your catalog on Spotify, I was struggling to really figure out if there was any sort of voice of comparison to someone that I might be familiar with that I can bring it down to. And I really struggled, which is a good thing because it showed that you have a full uniqueness in your voice and something that's very, very distinctive. But then I came to the conclusion, especially like in Get It Right, like I've heard hints of like Kelly Rowland, a bit of Tony Braxton in there as well. Like just some of those hints. Like who for you inspired you not only to get into music but also like in figuring and creating your own sound?
I'm for sure like influenced massively, of course, by the 90s, of course, but Keisha Cole, like Keisha Cole, Jasmine Sullivan, Lauryn Hill, like those three women, like really shaped my identity early on. Like Keisha Cole, I guess, with someone who had like an incredible pen, but a very very unique voice, like, and who just kind of like shook the R&B world. Like
Mm.
her albums are classics. Do you know what I mean? And then Jasmine Sullivan, like, I was just trying to mimic her literally, like, because again, an incredible pen, a very unique voice. But then Lauryn Hill kind of just showed me like, oh, I can have flow, I can have rhythms, like
Mm.
I can tell stories that are not just about love. I can tell stories about life. Like I can tell stories about like spiritual things. I can talk about whatever I want. So like those, when I think about it, like those three really, really truly influenced me. Like of course
Mm.
Brandy, of course Monica, of course Whitney, of course um Frank, Usher, like the list goes on, 112, Jodeci, of course. But those three in particular, like I rode around like copying Keisha Cole. Like, I rode
Mm.
around singing it like word for word, note for note. So yeah,
So it
for
sounds
sure.
like from those artists that you just mentioned, like with Keisha Cole, Jasmine Sullivan, like they have different elements to what pieced you together as far as like how you would portray yourself as a singer songwriter
Yeah.
because you picked that bit and you must have thought, oh yeah, I could really bring those bits together and then bring a gel of them together and then combine it to be what portraying as your sound really.
Mm. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm a big student of music. Like
Hmm.
me and my best friend, we're nerds. Like we literally like we have a an imaginary like top 100 list, yeah, of greatest songs of all time. We're like, nah, this is going on our list. Like we literally go through and like dissect music. Like I just love doing that. So I literally studied it, like as in study, like listening to it and picking it apart and finding like, okay, why does Michael Jackson pronounce things this way and
Hmm.
use this type of tone and here and like why do I feel like I can see the whole story of like of Thriller? Why do I get that? What is he doing? Like
Hmm.
to for me to really like feel like sugar, I see this. Like I can see the imagery. Why did Frank write it like this? And instead of making it plain, why is he using these like metaphors and similes? I'm just doing all of that all the time, like reading and figuring it out and like watching what do the other artists do, how do they articulate themselves, because remember, when you're a creative person, it's coming out naturally without
Hmm.
you thinking about it. So I kind
Hmm.
of wanted to actually understand the mechanics of my mind, like what actually makes me do this, what works, why do people love this song so much and hate this one. So yeah, that's what I'm always doing 24/7.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, it sounds like you're a real student in the game. In like, literally, you've been studying like music, like dissecting bits, like as far as you
I
growing
love
up,
it.
and then applying it to
Yeah.
you, man. I love that. Obviously, like as well from your catalog, as you're on the come up as well. I noticed that a lot of the tracks so far on, from what I've seen on your Spotify, are predominantly features. Obviously with Peng Black Girls, with Enny, which we'll go into in a bit as well. Um, was it a conscious decision, as in for you to introduce yourself as an artist, that you wanted to highlight your voice working with other people before going into the idea of, okay, now you're going to get full me and this is what I'm bringing, but I wanted to bring some of these features as an introduction?
It was literally like just how life happens.
Mm.
So I was really like, I've been recording music since I was like in college, like 17. Well, technically, actually, in secondary school,
Right.
because my music teacher, she really believed in me, and so the sixth formers, what they would do with the music students, they would have songs and she would ask me to like do the vocals on them. So we had a studio at school. I would record there. So I've been recording for a long time, writing songs for a long time, but just never, my confidence never matched my ambition.
Right.
So like my actual belief in myself, or like actually following through, finishing them, it never matched up. But technically, when I look back actually in retrospect, I think that's the right word, I don't know if it is. When I look back in hindsight, whatever, it was actually my development. Like, so that was my kind of hidden development stage where all those hours that I've recorded and like songs that people have never heard, just my friends, that was me developing my sound and figuring out who I am as an artist. So it just so happens that some of these features, people are like, oh, I want to put it out. So I'm like, okay, go ahead, you know, do it. I don't really care, like, just do it. But I wasn't ready for my own stuff to be out just yet. But it was just this year, I was just like, all right, enough now. Enough. Like, you need to,
it's like, get your ass in gear now kind of vibes.
Exactly. And just put the music out. And yeah, it was definitely my sister, one of my friends, William, like, he's a videographer, and I went to him with I don't know if you've seen it. I did a Valentine's special called Just Fine, and he was just like, yeah, we're just gonna film it the next day and put it out in time for Valentine's. I was like, okay. So just April that I actually started putting out music actually out there on the platforms properly.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so literally this year was like, okay, my full introduction. Now I'm gonna bring of myself. This is happening. This is what I'm bringing as me now, and as literally only a few months ago.
Yeah.
And you're doing well so far. You know what I mean? I can see like you did the R&B medley, which I was thinking like, yo, like you took those classic tunes to a different level as far as like, with the piano and just your voice alone. And I thought, yo, let me go back and listen to some of the tunes that I was hearing from what you said to me. Do you know what I mean? Do you know the ones there? So like it's a good thing, I guess, from trialing, like, from how long have you been doing it like properly now, as far as like, you've worked with artists before? When would you say was your proper start?
I would say 2017, which is so weird because I've been performing without really having loads of songs out. Like I had a song called Leah out with Vesk, a producer duo that was on SoundCloud. So I've been like performing for a long time, like going to like Box Park, performing in East, open mics. I've been doing that for like 2017. So now I guess this year was the year of, all right, we're going to put visuals now, not just songs. We're going to actually put stuff out. Yeah.
When was your first proper studio session? What was that like?
A proper one? Well, yeah, when I was in college, that was a studio. But okay, let's say outside of college when I used to go off. Nah, let me use the college ones. The first studio sessions was like in someone's house. They had a booth, they had a cool setup. It was somewhere in North London. And it's so weird, like I learned I had to do everything myself. So you get your, like, let's say 2 hours, 3 hours. So you need to make sure you lay down everything, the vocals, the hook, the ad-libs, the harmonies. So like that's the world I'm kind of from. Like you have to do it quickly. So there was no one helping me like vocal produce or telling me where to sing things or how to do it. It was just engineer, all right, you ready to punch it in, and just do that. So I would quickly write before my session, have it in my head, repeat, and then come to the studio and just lay it down. And then also like during uni times, I met a producer called Cold Keys, and we used to meet, and I used to just like, it was free luckily, and like I used to just go like nearly every day, a couple days a week for hours and hours and hours, and just write and record. And it could be whatever, like random. We'll start one idea, then do another one, then do another one. So that's what my sessions are like. My sessions are really like, I either come with something and I'm ready to record, or I'm just trying to be creative and just do something new.
So it sounds like from your first session, it's like, you had everything prepped before going into the studio, because obviously, as you understand as you go along, like I've been in studio sessions where it's like, people will pay like, 20 quid for like 20 quid for an hour, or 40 quid for 2 hours, and it's like they know that time's on their side, so it's like you'd have to have everything set before going in. So now it sounds like you've prepared yourself to, if you go into like, I'm assuming you've been to a few professional studios outside of college, so obviously going in, it's like, you know exactly what you're doing. As soon as you go in, boom, 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 I'm done. All right, cool, see you later.
And that's why, what's so weird now, like my engineer who I work with now, called Comens, he's the best. Like he allows me to be relaxed. So he's like, don't don't clock watch, don't watch the time. Just be
Mm,
free and just do your thing, because sometimes what happens is you're like, oh sugar, I need to do this, so you're not giving your best performance. And like
true.
with me again, some of these songs, like the hook for Sweet Love, that was the first time I ever thought of that was like 2015 or
Wow.
2016. So I'm having to like, even with Younger Miss Skyler, that was written in 2015. I have to get myself back into that place of how, like, feeling like that, or the
Mm.
imagery. So sometimes you're in a box in the dark with headphones in and you're just hearing the beat. It's hard to like regurgitate those emotions.
Yeah,
So it takes
I
a lot
guess
of
it's the
practice.
environment that you're in as well. So you have to feel comfortable when knowing that, it's not
Mm-hmm.
just a box room where it's black and you can't see yourself, that you have to feel like you're in the element when you do it.
Exactly. So recording is like, it's very strenuous, but it's like I feel like that's why I just say, like, with life, I feel like everything is kind of planned, because all those hours I had to practice and be in people's studios for hours and hours on end has allowed me to now to be able to, I know how to punch in, I know what to do now, I know how to finish a song. So like Sweet Love, the single I just released in October, um, I had like, I think we did like 12 different mixes, like maybe 4, 5, 6 different versions,
Wow.
like constantly adding to it. But that's now because I had the experience of where I've made songs which are unfinished. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, or songs that still need something, but I never knew what to do. But now I kind of know, okay, this is what you do. This is
Mm.
what works. This is how to build it up. So yeah.
Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that you understood your progressions and what works for you as far as being in the studio, and obviously, starting in April properly now, and then going forward that you know what you're going to do when it comes to your own music. So I'm glad that's working out for you so far. I mean, obviously with R&B, like, there's been resurgences, like, especially
Mm-hmm.
like resurgence in the past couple of years. Obviously with the new generation where you got like Shaquiz, Janae Aiko, Kalani, Bryson Tiller, and obviously like even some of our UK contemporaries like yourself, Rebecca Garten, Mahalia, Ella May,
Mm-hmm.
now Ray Black, so many names.
Mm.
But obviously where we're in sort of a generation where, like, you got trap music, then you got a fusion of like R&B and trap, then obviously R&B, it's kind of far few between, but when you have artists like yourself that are coming to the forefront, and obviously that's now been highlighted more as to say emotions are coming back, like it's okay to have emotions, whereas before
Mm.
I remember like in the like sort of kind of like 2010 sort of times where
Mm-hmm.
dance music
Mm-hmm.
was prominent and emotions weren't really cool at the time, and then obviously beforehand you've
Yeah.
had like 90s music, that was the golden era of R&B,
The
you know what I
golden
mean?
age.
I was
Mm-hmm.
listen, I was in my feelings. I got to the
Same
point
here.
sometimes, like, even when I weren't with someone and I'm by myself, I was in my own feelings with that. So
Yeah, same here.
I mean, what do you think of the state of R&B now? I mean, because obviously it's been modernized and obviously it's
Mm.
being brought back as a resurgence. Like, what are your views on it?
The same thing, like music is evolution.
Mm,
Music, it should evolve because people change and people transform and the world around you transforms. So it would be silly to think that music would be stale and stagnant. So I think, I don't know if we're ever going to get what it was like at that time, because the world isn't like what it
mm,
was like in the 90s or in the 2000s. It was a whole different time.
mm,
um like I have this conversation with people all the time. It's like the way we make music's changed, the way we consume music has changed. So because that's changed, it affects the sound of the music. Like, as I said, there was a time where it's like you would have to, I guess, even if you go back to when Michael Jackson was recording like Bad and stuff, or the first with Quincy Jones, like the way they would record is not the same how I could just punch in now and be like, actually, can you chop the end of this ad lib and put that ad lib and stick it together? Do you know what I mean? It's not
mm.
the same. So the feeling isn't going to be the same. So I feel like that rawness and that emotion, like my friend calls it, men don't beg anymore. Like on R&B songs, like there's no men begging or like, baby, please, please, please. Like there's none of that. There's not a lot of that at the
For some
moment.
reason, we're just becoming more confident. Like, we're just not. We're just more like straight to the
It's
point of,
different.
like, our emotions
Mm-hmm.
are intact. Like, we're hard. Like before,
Exactly.
before it was
It's
like,
changing.
we're begging on our knees to have our women
Uh-huh.
back to us, but now it's just like, okay, well, if you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah, and it will change. And I think what it is again, as things are evolving, people are missing like a song that does is full of ad libs, full of harmonies, like beautifully stacked. We're missing that, like someone just singing, and I think when it's good you mentioned that, like the 2010 era, that kind of the 2000s, like trap music came, so that really influenced how we hear R&B. So R&B is not dead; it's just evolving. And you know, as more artists continue to come from the ground and come to the surface, you'll hear like there's different versions. Like you got a Gibeon, you got a Snow. Like Snow Allegro makes me feel like I'm listening to, I don't know, like with Prince's time or something. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm way back there.
So
So people are
it's like
bringing like,
some artists have that way of still being able to connect to what was in the past and still bring it to now.
yeah, because it evolves, you know, like it
Mm.
really evolves. It's, but I think what people I've noticed, like people are not really like used to change, or we don't really like change too much. Like you said, we're still holding on to the things that we love most, but you have to also remember the time in which like you heard some of those songs. Let's say from Brandy, or you was listening to Confessions. That was a particular time in your life, so those memories are stuck there. Do you know what I mean? Those
Mm.
memories that no one can make you relive your secondary school life or your college life again. Like, so the music that's happening to you now, hopefully when you're 50, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, oh, like it's taking me back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Soon this era will be us going back.
yeah, for sure,
Same way, like
100%.
for those in the 2000s, the 80s was like the good old days, you know.
Yeah. And what our
So
parents would say to us as far as like, this is our time, and like we
exactly,
appreciate what that
yeah,
time was, and we take in that music as well, knowing
yeah,
that that's
1000%.
translated. I mean, there's some music that, you know, is considered like, um, you know, timeless. I would say that, in the fact that
Mm-hmm.
it's still there with us now. I mean, some people might not recognize some of the artists, but if they hear something and they're familiar with it, it's like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with that,
One
but I don't know
thousand
the artist,
percent.
but I am familiar with it from how that time frame was
Yeah.
before. So no, I get that. I
And I
get
think
that.
the funny thing is as well, it's like majority of the songs that we love, like especially with like sampling, like it was people sampling like, you know, Police and you know, all these other artists from the 80s and Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder. So of course, like the music that was happening in the 90s and the 2000s was very reminiscent. So it carried through. And I think what's happened was now it's like people are making their own music now. So it's more,
Mm,
there's less of like, there's still a lot of sampling, of course, there will always be, but now it's like a new kind of era where I
mm,
can make the song from my house. Like I don't need to be with Rodney Jenkins or, you know, someone, an incredible producer. Like I can
mm.
just do it at home. So that's going to change the feeling.
Yeah,
That will
all
change
the
the feeling.
programs are there. All, you know, the equipment is accessible.
Yeah.
You can buy it for yourself, so you don't have to like
Mm-hmm.
fork like, you know, so much money to go to a studio when you can
Browser.
access it yourself. When you've got all the equipment, like even doing the Zoom chat now, like I've got the mic, I've got, you know, I mean,
You
Zoom
see?
chat is accessible. It's all there, so it's easy to do that. You know,
Yeah.
but what it seems to me is that you're definitely a woman that celebrates female empowerment, especially from your latest feature that you did with Enny, Peng Black Girls. When I saw the
Mm-hmm.
video, it was blatantly obvious. It's like all different shades of black women being celebrated. You
Yeah.
know, like you mentioned earlier, that your mum was even featured, and obviously she's proud of you from displaying that as well. Obviously, you know, this year has been highlighting a lot of our struggles, especially with Black
Mm-hmm.
Lives Matter protests, and even down to that
Yeah.
Sainsbury's, you
Yeah. I
know,
just
the
saw that.
adverts. Yeah, all of that backlash that's been happening as well, and we're still trying to, you know, fight for full inclusion. Was that the aim when where you wanted to portray that, as far as the track itself?
Yeah, I mean, it was Annie's idea. Like the video that you see, it, you know, she had the initial idea and she gave it to Otis, who's an incredible director who was able to really translate that. Um, but I think with Annie, she already had, without the hook, she already had like her verses.
Mm,
Um, and so like she already had the heart of the song, if you know what I mean. So like with the hook, it was just like, yeah, we're gonna be fine.
mm,
We're gonna just be okay. And I think um it's so weird, like sometimes your idea, like the nucleus of it, maybe sometimes you don't realize like what it's going to become or what it's going to be like. And I know for a lot of people it's like an anthem for them, like it's really really encouraging. So um I'm so happy, honestly. Like I'm relieved. And I know like when I was a kid, I was in Destiny Child, Kelly Rowland, I was like, I'm Kelly, because that's what I
it's
saw
ironic
in
we just
someone who
talked
did like,
about Kelly as far as some of the vocal aspect,
exactly.
but there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like that. Like, so I feel like it's super important now that, you know, when we're just being unashamedly Black and saying I'm proud and I'm proud of my complexion or I'm proud to be who I am. And we're not going to apologize anymore. We're just going to just do it and continue to put ourselves out there because representation matters, period.
Mm.
Yes.
What was the feedback from the video? Because it received a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah, honestly, I always say to myself, I'm not going to read comments, but I end up reading them.
I
I
mean,
end up reading
let's be
them.
honest.
I
I
know.
mean, some people will not read comments because obviously the amount of times you see comments and it really gets to them on a mental level. But at some point, we have done. So yeah.
Yeah, I read them. Like honestly, I read them, and like on YouTube, I just see so many amazing things. Like people said they've cried, like it made them emotional, like it made them happy. Like loads of different people, like in Nigeria, like oh my gosh, like I'm so proud that these girls are wearing like their native and stuff like that. So it's just been really, really positive. Like people love it, and I'm happy. Honestly, I'm really, really happy because it goes to show that there is music like this, which is like pure and just full of good vibes, can exist and it can do well.
Yeah, and the momentum going forward, it should be still the case. Like like that
Yeah.
sort of celebration. So I'm glad that's like highlighted for sure. It's not a thing where it's like, oh, oh, white people getting upset because of the no. Like we all just need to just embrace what is going
Exactly.
on. Like just
Yeah.
embrace the fact that we are who we are, and we're not going to apologize for ourselves about it. So deal with it.
Exactly.
All of that. There's something interesting that I found out on Twitter. That you said. You said that I take in like maybe 1 or 2 albums a year, like fully digesting it, and it takes me a while to get
Yeah.
around to really listening to a project. Now, what I wanted to know
Yeah.
is, would you translate that in a way where it's like when you eventually make full bodies of work, would you have that same sort of expectation for your audience to go like that they can take my albums like once or twice a year, maybe more?
Yeah. So when I mean it, so basically, I can't listen to loads and loads of. I don't listen to loads and loads and loads of music at one time, or projects. Let me say, because I can't fully digest it. It's
Mm.
not really fully sinking in,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's like I basically like I listen to, let's say I'll have like 2 albums. Like currently right now, I listen to Lucky Days Painted and then Givian's like both his EPs. And then I think I was listening to my little baby My Turn. And like those are like the 3 on rotate basically. I know it's just like and then obviously I'll be listening to all of my favorite like DMX song or something or 112 or da da da.
Mm.
So I can't like the same way when I make project like when I with my EP and stuff that I'm working on, it's like I don't know. I just feel like it has to be taken in slowly. Like a lot of
Mm.
people don't really digest music. Like my niece, I was like to her, like, have you ever listened to an album from top to bottom? She was like, no, I just pick out the singles I like. And then I'm like, what? Like it comes together as a whole. Like, so I
Mm.
just found it interesting. Like, how do other people consume music? Because for me, I need to really sit with it. I need to cook with it. I need to like go for a walk with it. I just need to like hear it in the car. So I'm one of those listeners.
I think for me,
Yeah.
like when it comes to my listening patterns, a lot of it is singles. Let's be honest.
Mm.
But there was one period of time where there was because when I first bought my first CD, which was there was 2 CDs. There was 21 Seconds with So Solid,
Oh,
and the other one was 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Trying. Now
great
those were
album.
the only 2 albums where I went from top to bottom and not skipped a track. But
Mm.
what I think what's happened is that over the course of time, where our attention spans as a generation are very very short. So
Mm-hmm.
for me personally, I can only speak for me, where it's like I can listen to a body of work, but for the most part, if a track is popping, and I'm on that for sure, like but I will always follow up and listen to other tracks. But I'm more of a single dude. So I mean, I guess it's something that there's different people and different listening patterns, I guess.
Yeah, 1000%. Like music is like food, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different taste, and everyone likes different food. And people like, some people put milk before cereal, cereal before milk. You just gotta
Well,
do
hey,
it the
I
way
mean,
that.
if you put milk before cereal, like I can't talk to you. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm a
Are
bit of
you are
both.
you are you one of those people? Do you put milk in before
I'm not
cereal?
even. I haven't. I don't even eat cereal anymore. Yeah, but yeah, a bit of both. Sometimes I just put the milk first.
Rah. Okay.
and then I put the sugar on top of some. It's a bit of both.
Right.
A bit of
Okay.
both. Like it depends how I'm feeling.
I mean,
It
what
depends how I'm
works for
feeling.
you, innit? What works for you, but yeah. No, I hear that. I mean, obviously now with your solo single "Sweet Love," I have to be honest, like that got me in the feels. That
Oh,
honestly got me in the feels because it really reminded me of that time. What we were talking about earlier in terms of reminiscing from, the time that
oh,
you're
stoked.
familiar with, like the '90s. This really
Yeah.
hit me like that, and I'm not just saying that because it's your latest single. Like literally, it got me to an emotional place where, like, I ended up not only just listening to your track over and over a few times, I ended up then reminiscing with a few classic R&B tunes from that off the back of that as well. So you really got me
Oh,
there for
sick.
that. Um, I know with Sweet Love, I was an interview that I read that you worked with a German producer who produced Queen Niger's Medicine,
Queen is amazing. Yeah.
and obviously he's worked with like Tink, Lil Mosey, August Alsina as far as that. How did the song even come about?
Fun again, new age. I'm okay. So, um, I go on YouTube. So I save stuff on YouTube. So I'm not a writer that writes every day, unfortunately. I'm
Right.
trying to, but I'm not a writer that writes every day. I just write when I feel like it, or I just or I have to. Or I'm required to do
I
it.
mean, you can't force
Um,
it, can you? So you have to. When
yeah,
you
and you
write,
know what it
it
is. I
comes
think
from a good place at the time. Yeah.
it is, but I'm trying to train myself to just be able to just be writing nonstop. Um, but yeah, no. So basically, I have on my YouTube. I basically go through, and if you put on YouTube type beat, you'll find like loads of beats. So that's where I found the beat, and I put it like in my songwriters list of I'm going to write to these beats in the future. Um, and so basically there was a talent show on Instagram while lockdown was happening. You know, there was loads of Instagram lives going on. Like there was all
Oh
sorts of
yes.
things. Yes. And then yeah, a label called LVRN based in Atlanta. They were like looking for the best songwriters, singers, blah blah blah. So I'm like, oh, let me see if I can do this. And I was gonna, do something, sing a song that I've already written before. But I was like, let me just challenge myself and see if I can produce some sort of R&B hit in a day's time.
Mm.
So just went on, went through my YouTube, found the beat, and I just started like going with it. And I was thinking halfway through, I was thinking, oh, like I should really have given myself more, maybe 2 days. But honestly, by that evening, I had it. The song was done,
Mm.
and it just came out, and then I never got to perform it. But I just showed my friend, and everyone was like, "Raw, this slaps! Like
Because
this is a
this
shit. This is
definitely is a
the
track that I feel would be great in the clubs. That'd be great for performing as well.
yeah."
Especially for certain shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you got like I don't know, like if you're supporting that for a big R&B artist and you're on the lineup and you got that song there, like that would be pushing
Mm.
out. I mean, even if it's like if you had a headline show and that would be one of your top, tracks that would really
Yeah.
resonate with that type of audience.
And it's so weird because it's not my style of writing. Like I don't really write like this. This is not my preferred. I'm a moody
Okay.
artist. Like I like songs that are more like puts me in my feel like makes me sad. Like
Wow. Okay.
that's where I find it easier. I don't really know how to write happy per se. Like I'm actually trying to like strengthen that muscle, strengthen that arm. So when that beat, it was just like I was like, I don't want it to be sexual, but I want it to be lovey. And I was like, well, we don't really talk about love like in just a happy way. So I'm like, let me just try and push. And it's very simple. Like the melody, the words are very simple. Usually, I try to use more imagery than that in my normal my normal style.
Mm.
So yeah, it was out of my comfort zone
It's
completely.
interesting you say that because a lot of your tracks, like the features that you've been placed on as well, like have either been heartbreak and obviously, with Enny it's about women empowerment, but obviously like what you just saying and like bringing love into element because this is like the first track from your catalog where it's completely out the box and it's not from what I've heard
Mm-hmm.
from your other songs. So for me to hear that, I'm thinking like, yo, are you going through like a love phase right now? Is that what's going on? Because I'm thinking like,
No,
you really
I'm.
projected that out.
No, it's so funny. Again, like it was just imagination. I swear to you, like
Mm.
it was literally just imagination. And I think that's like the songwriter element in me, where I write songs of like talking to people. So say you started telling me a story, I just interview you and I'd be like, how did it make you feel? and how does this make you feel? And while I'm writing that down, it just becomes a song. So even
Mm.
if I watch a film, sometimes images like just trigger me, and I just have images and words that just come to match it. So with Sweet Love, I was just like, I just the task was, can you make an R&B hit? Can you do that?
Mm.
That was the task. Like, we need bangers, we need smashes. So
Yeah.
all I was thinking was, yeah, just what is a love? How can I write a song that's like banging? And then it just came out.
So
Thank God.
are you pushing yourself like going forward then, as to say, obviously we've seen your introduction as far as like, you know, what we're seeing, like the heartbreak, the empowerment, and obviously you've tested yourself on the love aspect of the track. Are you pushing yourself more like going forward as far as like, I'm gonna make tracks that are more varied going forward in that respect then?
Yeah, I mean, my music, like the unheard music that no one's heard, is very, very, very like, it's just a mixture. It's a mixture. It's a lot of storytelling. There's a lot of stories, a lot of depth. So just like Sweet Love, like, I mean, even if you like look at the words of Sweet Love, like everything is with Sweet Love is very tidy. You know what I mean? Like the melodies, everything is very easy to digest.
Mm.
But some of my other songs are a bit more less structure focused. But then I also have like I wrote a really cool ballad this year, like a really good ballad that I can't wait to share it with everyone. Which is like a ballad. Do you know what I mean? Like we have just a nice
That
little
kind of
ballad
like that
type of
Whitney
thing. So
Houston sort of
it's
ballad.
very, I would just say like, not Whitney, not Whitney.
Oh, right, okay.
Not Whitney.
Maybe not that
I would
far,
say
but
more
kind of
like,
more, you know,
I
your
mean,
flavor.
something. No, not that far. Not that far. I'm not like holding notes now. But I have songs that I've written like that though. But I would just say with my music, it's gonna have a strong. My foundation is R&B, R&B and soul. So you'll hear a lot of that. But it's gonna be, I guess, the writing style is kind of like Frank. Is kind of like very eclectic. It is very sometimes fringe. It might not always be in this traditional R&B style. It might be a bit more free. But yeah, just expect truthfulness and transparency for sure.
Okay, well, I can't wait to hear a lot more of that going forward, especially.
I'm
I mean,
excited to share.
I mean, with 2021 around the corner, obviously, no one really knows what's going on at the moment, as far as like, you know, performances can happen again. But I mean, if you were to predict on your end, considering what's going on now, what is next for you? What do you aim to do? You know, as 2021 is around the corner.
The small goals, but let me just dream. Since we're doing predictions, let me just dream. I think for me, in the perfect scenario, perfect world, is like building the right team around me, the right team, and getting to put out my EP and people finally knowing me, becoming a household name, people hearing and knowing who Amia Brave is, and producing a classic EP, and then hopefully following up with a classic album that is just that, you know, something that people haven't really heard maybe from a UK artist yet, and something
Mm,
that can compete and stand amongst some of the best that's ever come out. Like that's what I see for myself.
mm.
And of course, I'd love to tour, man. I'd love to have my first ever headline tour. I'd love to be a supporting act. But yeah, just expect an incredible EP, an incredible albums, an incredible
Yes,
career.
plural,
Yeah.
please.
Yes. Yes.
Alright.
Sure.
Well, I mean, it's clear to know that you definitely have a unique voice. You definitely have something new to the table, which is something that, you know, you're amongst, like, you know, greats already within, you know, the R&B world of our modern times. But obviously, you know, more content to come out, and, you know, definitely excited to see what the prospect is for you, like, going forward, man.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, I do this with every single artist. I am a bit of a Twitter stalker. So literally, you know, you don't tweet heavily, but I do. I have seen some tweets that are light-hearted, and I just wanted to go through some, you know, just to give more elaboration of what it is you mean, and just give fun for the fun
Yeah.
to our audience. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. So the first one is, it always makes you wonder: do people ever really change?
Oh, that was recent. That was a recent one. Am I supposed to explain what the tweet means?
Yes, please.
Um, Yeah, no, why did I say that? I can't remember why I said it specifically, but I think I was just thinking about, I've been thinking about that. It's a question that I always think about. Do people change? Do people develop? Like, specifically, like when you're talking about when, you know, you meet new people and you meet people potentially that you want to be romantically involved with.
Mm.
Does their past count? Does that define who the person is?
Mm.
Is it a good measurement to measure someone by what they've done in the past? Or do you look at them as a brand new person from when you met them?
Wow. So
Yeah.
so many elements. It's like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
do I look at things from the past, or do I, like, you know, forget what was in the past on bad things, and obviously now just,
Mm.
you know, bringing it forward. So okay, so it sounds like you were just trying to figure out, like, you know,
Yeah.
if behavioral patterns do change, or whether it's just how people
Yeah.
are, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is, why do you think church was always packed when the surface was on relationships?
I'm laughing. This is so funny. So did you not see on Twitter, like there was like a whole heartbreak tales going on? Like
Uh,
everyone was sharing their heartbreak stories.
I'm not sure if I picked that one up. So yeah,
Oh my
if you can guide
gosh,
me
it was
through for
so
that.
crazy. Black Twitter was going off, but like my sister, she tweeted something. She was just like, she was so heartbroken one time that she was on the phone to the guy and she crumpled a crisp packet and was like, "Can you hear my heart breaking into a million pieces?" Or something like that. So it's just like everyone's putting some wild stories. I know people like they were so heartbroken, they wanted to be hit by a car just so she could like meet them at the hospital. So I was just like, yeah, a lot of people I find that when you're heartbroken, they remember God. Like that's when they remember, like, oh yeah, there's a God out there, and now I need
Wow.
direction. God help me. God save me. So it was just I was just chiming in. I don't really talk too much into it. I don't talk. I used to talk a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
before, but I don't do that.
No, no.
Yeah.
Well, no, because obviously you're promoting your songs, but these came out specifically. I was like, oh, okay, I would like to know. Next one is, I'd rather say nothing than to offend someone by sharing my unwanted. I'll say it again. I'd rather say nothing than to offend someone by sharing my unwarranted opinion.
Yeah, for sure. That's like my motto for social media. That sound when you read it, I sound so horrible.
No, but
Oh
it's
my
true.
god.
It's true though, because I mean, we do have a tendency to give out opinions when it's not necessary, because, you know,
Yeah.
it's not reflective of your own life, is it?
Yeah, and I think for me, it's really from a place where I'm on social media a lot. Like I love Instagram and stuff. But I just see some crazy comments, man. Like you could be posting something and people like be talking about your kid's hair, or you know how you just like just unnecessary things. And I feel like on Twitter you really get like a real feel for that. Like people just arguing about nonsense. And I'm just not that type of person. I just feel like I'm always, if you don't have anything nice to say, just keep it to yourself. And it's just best not to. And I think it's something I try to live by. You know, like you don't have to, why do you feel like you have to comment on everything that happens? You know,
Mm,
sometimes just keep your opinion to yourself.
that's true, man.
Yeah,
And it's just
it'd be a happier place.
sorry, what was that?
It would be a happier place. It
No,
would be a
um,
much nicer social
if we don't get corrupt with
environment.
going into that sort of training thought, but yeah, I hear you. Next one is, my nephew's trying to set me up with his PE teacher.
Oh my gosh.
And then you said, "Nah, kids are funny."
Yeah, they are. Like I have loads of nieces and nephews. And my nephew came to my house one day and he was like, "Oh, auntie, yeah, my PE teacher, he's really nice. I could just see you two together." I'm like, "What?" But at the same time, I'm saying, "Well," I'm like, "Well, give me a picture then. Pull up then. Give me your
He better be
phone."
good looking,
And
y'all.
he took a picture of him. He really took a picture.
Oh
Like he actually
wow.
took a sneak picture of him on the low. And I was like, yeah, he's not for me, but thank you anyway for
Oh,
considering
God
me.
bless your nephew, man. He must have been just thinking like, oh yeah, like, you know, can you not be with someone? I can hook you up.
Yeah, I think you know what my other nephew was saying is like maybe he's trying to get onto the football team or something, but I don't know. But
Oh,
it
trying
was
to get
cute.
in nice.
Yeah, you know these young
Them
teens, but
ones.
it's just
Trying to be
yeah,
them sneaky ones,
like stop
yeah?
forgiving
Okay.
me, trust
Okay.
me. It's just like yeah, he's how old is he? And I was like, oh my gosh, this kid is crazy.
Oh, well, I mean,
Yeah.
look, the kids are creative, especially now. And the last thing I wanted to get into, because I also saw on Twitter that like your parents are 40 years plus married, and you said with 5 kids and 11 grandchildren, and I thought like I was thinking where I think we're in a generation now where we have so many options. We have so many dating apps where we can just swipe left and right. I feel like we're so absorbed with ourselves as far as like what we present on social media that we don't allow ourselves to be emotionally available to someone because we're so picky. And I'll speak for myself. Like before, like I was in a relationship, I was going on dates before, but now it's just like I'm seeing more of these dating apps coming up to play, and it's just like, oh, well, she can go, she can stay, blah blah blah. So, but it's just like, at the end of the day, they may not be emotionally available to you. I might not be emotionally available to them, and it's just mad. So, like, do you feel that's the case now? I mean, because obviously, it's a testament to your parents for being with each other for so long, but we just can't seem to be in relationships longer than maybe a couple of months or even a year or two at that.
I think it's difficult, isn't it? Like, again, times have changed a lot. Like you said, the accessibility and choice, isn't it? And I think obviously in Nigeria at that time, it's like this your boyfriend, this your husband, straight away. Like that's your man, that's your man. Like there wasn't like dipping in and out, and like if someone did, it was like, oh, so unorthodox, like But I think I think some people still hold steadfast to like wanting to be with one person and wanting to be married, and I think it's just it's choice. Again, it's like each to their own. Like I'm a strong believer of I want to be married, like, and I kind of don't want to just be like dilly dallying and in entanglements with people. For sure, I know I want to have a family and be married, but I think it requires a lot. Like some of my friends just recently got married, and so I'm like taking notes on the sideline, like, girl, what's it like, honey? Like, give me the tea, child. And it's amazing seeing them. Because some people always like feel like real love doesn't exist or people don't really settle down anymore. But no, there are people who are settling down. There are people who still want to be with one person, and it's beautiful. But whichever path you choose, you just gotta, run its course, innit? You gotta do your own thing, whatever suits you as a person. Yeah.
No, I hear that. I mean, there's a long way to go for me anyway. Like I haven't found the one, so I'm still like, focused on what I'm doing at the moment, but hoping my future wife is there somewhere. So let's see, and hopefully, if I do find the social, and I'll play Sweet Love, when I do find the one.
Yes, play it.
I'll play it out, man. Well, sure. Amia, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. I've had so much fun learning about you and what makes you tick and stuff as far as like artistry and heartbreak and love and woman empowerment. So yeah, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. Like, thank you for having me. Thank you for speaking with me. Like, it's just been so awesome, and thank you for supporting the music as well. Like, that means so much to me. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Wow,
it was good.
Don't make me cry. Don't make me cry. Oh, I don't mean my feelings again. Oh shit! I promise I won't get to this point, man. Nah, pleasure's mine. God. Pleasure's mine. Well, if you can tell our audience where they can catch you on all the socials, what's coming up for you, the floor is yours, my darling.
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram, Amia, AMIA _Brave, like brave woman, and on Twitter, Amia Brave. Follow me, guys. I'm also on like YouTube and Peng Black Girls. Support the video that's out now. But I also have an acoustic and more acoustics to come, and hopefully some visuals for Sweet Love. So yeah.
All right. Well, one to watch out for in 2021, guys. All right.
Thank you.
Bill's Media Spotlight UK, Amia Brave. Watch out for this woman. She's about to kick your doors down. All right?